South Africa, the Rainbow Nation, a land of incredible diversity and rich cultural heritage. A country brimming with potential yet grappling with a harsh reality. Its economy is stagnant. The streets are bustling, but the opportunities are few. Gone are the heady days of hope and promise that followed the end of apartheid. The dreams of a prosperous future seem to be fading. The economy is struggling to grow and millions are left behind. Factories are closing and job queues are getting longer. This isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet, it's about people. Families trying to make ends meet, children dreaming of a better future. People like Thembi, a single mother of 3 in Soweto, who loses her job every time the power goes out. Her resilience is tested daily. It's about Sifo, a recent graduate in Durban, who can't find a job because companies aren't hiring. His education feels like a wasted effort. South Africa's story is one of immense potential, held back by deeply entrenched challenges. Natural resources abound, yet poverty persists. This is a nation at a crossroads, needing bold action to revive its economy and fulfill its promise. Leadership and vision are crucial now more than ever. The time for tinkering around the edges is over. Comprehensive reforms and investments are needed to spark growth. The future of the Rainbow Nation hangs in the balance. The hopes and dreams of millions rest on the decisions made today. The health of an economy is often measured in dry, technical terms, filled with percentages and figures that can seem abstract. But behind the jargon lie real-world consequences that affect everyday lives. Let's break down the numbers. GDP growth. Imagine a car stuck in first gear, barely chugging along, unable to gain momentum. That's South Africa's GDP growth averaging less than 1% a year for a decade, a clear sign of economic stagnation. It's simply not enough to create jobs and uplift living standards, leaving many in a cycle of poverty. Unemployment. This is the real gut punch, hitting the hardest where it hurts the most. Over 30% of South Africans can't find work, a staggering statistic that speaks volumes. For young people, it's even worse, soaring past 60%, creating a generation of lost potential. Think about that. Almost 2 out of 3 young people are jobless, facing an uncertain future. Inflation. Remember when you could buy a loaf of bread for a reasonable price? Those days seem long gone. Inflation eats away at everyone's buying power, especially the poor, making daily life a constant struggle. While it's moderated recently, it's still a concern that looms over the economy. Public debt. Imagine borrowing money on your credit card and only making the minimum payment. The debt keeps growing, becoming unmanageable. That's South Africa's situation, with debt exceeding 70% of GDP, a heavy burden on the nation's finances. These numbers paint a bleak picture, but they're not insurmountable. There is still hope. With the right policies and decisive action, South Africa can turn the tide and build a brighter future for all. Imagine a country where the lights go out for hours every day. Businesses shut down, hospitals struggle to operate. This is the reality in South Africa, thanks to the chronic failures of Eskom, the state-owned power utility. Eskom is plagued by mismanagement, corruption, and a lack of investment. The result? Rolling blackouts, known as loadshedding, have become a part of daily life. This isn't just an inconvenience, it's an economic catastrophe. Businesses lose billions of dollars each year. Investors are scared off. The energy crisis is a dark cloud hanging over South Africa's future. Solving this crisis requires a multi-pronged approach, fixing Eskom, diversifying energy sources, and attracting private investment. Failure is not an option. Section 4. A nation divided, inequalities grip. South Africa is one of the most unequal societies in the world. The gap between rich and poor is vast and deeply entrenched. This inequality is a moral stain on the nation's conscience and a major drag on economic growth. It's a legacy of apartheid, but it persists today. Millions of black South Africans remain trapped in poverty, lacking access to quality education, healthcare, and economic opportunities. This inequality fuels social unrest and instability. It discourages investment and hinders economic growth. Addressing this deep-seated problem requires a comprehensive approach, including investing in quality education and skills development for all, expanding access to affordable healthcare, and creating economic opportunities in disadvantaged communities. Section 5. Trust erodes, political uncertainty looms. Imagine a company with constant scandals and leadership changes. Would you invest in it? Probably not. That's the challenge South Africa faces. Years of corruption scandals and political instability have eroded trust in the government. Investors are wary, businesses are hesitant to expand, uncertainty breeds caution and caution stifles growth. Restoring trust requires decisive action, tackling corruption head-on and holding those in power accountable, strengthening institutions and promoting good governance, and creating a stable and predictable policy environment. Section 6. A world of challenges, global headwinds and investment fears. South Africa isn't an island, it's deeply interconnected with the rest of the world. It's part of a global economy, and right now, that global economy is facing some serious headwinds. Economic downturns in major markets are having ripple effects everywhere. From the war in Ukraine to rising inflation and interest rates, the challenges are multifaceted and complex. There are a lot of factors outside of South Africa's control that are making things tough. Global supply chain disruptions and fluctuating commodity prices add to the uncertainty. On top of that, investors are becoming increasingly hesitant to put their money into emerging markets like South Africa. The risk factors seem too high for many. They're worried about political instability, corruption and governance issues that plague the nation. And a lack of economic reforms only exacerbates these concerns, making it harder to attract new investments. This perfect storm of global and domestic challenges makes it even more important for South Africa to get its house in order. The stakes have never been higher. The country needs to implement structural reforms, attract foreign investment, and create a stable environment for businesses to thrive. Only by doing so can South Africa restore confidence in its economy and ensure a prosperous future for its people. Section 7. A glimmer of hope, the need for change. South Africa is at a crossroads. The path ahead is fraught with challenges, but there's still hope. The country has overcome immense obstacles before, and it can do so again, but it requires bold leadership, decisive action, and a collective commitment to change. The government needs to tackle the energy crisis, address inequality, restore trust, and create a more attractive investment climate. This isn't just about fixing the economy, it's about building a more just and equitable society for all South Africans. It's about reigniting the spirit of hope and possibility that defined the post-apartheid era. The journey won't be easy, but the destination is worth fighting for. The future of the Rainbow Nation is at stake.